Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and to the second episode of Combat Chronicles. I apologize for my tardiness. I know I haven't made another video on football for a while, but I have been waiting for the preseason to end. I did not want to talk about transfers specifically because a lot of them were speculation, and I wanted to wait for the transfer market to close so that I could discuss the team sheet in a more concrete manner. Anyway, since the summer series or the pre-season has ended and Chelsea have played all of those games, I am going to discuss the changes that I have seen in my favorite team under the new coach Mauricio Pochettino. So let's get into it. Let's discuss Pochettino's Chelsea. Now, as we had imagined, as I had already said in my previous video, Mauricio Pochettino is playing his favoured 4-2-3-1 formation, which he used during his Tottenham days as well. And one of the best features of that formation is that it allowed Pochettino to use his tactical advantages, his knowledge, to take a very substandard Spurs team to the Champions League final against Liverpool. I know that is going to piss a lot of Spurs fans off, but the reality of the matter is that Spurs at that point, even in that season, were not an excellent team if you broke it down on paper and you picked out every player on the team. But Pochettino used his formation and his tactics to mitigate for all of those disadvantages and made them capable of reaching the Champions League final, which has been the zenith of their capabilities since then. So let's get into the improvements that Pochettino has made in the Chelsea team. So we're going to start with the fact that Chelsea players have a better attitude and a lot more energy now than they did last season. And that has a lot to do with the fact that we have gotten rid of all of the players that were on the team who did not want to be there because they were not getting enough playing time. We've also gotten rid of a few players who had become a little stale and were not playing at the same level as they were before, maybe say in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Players like Hazard and players like Havertz, players like Azpilicueta who had gotten along in years and were not playing at the same level. So yes, the attitude and energy has improved a lot, and that has translated into the team which has a better capacity for open play now. And a major block last year was the fact that Chelsea were not a very fit team last year under Graham Potter, and the fitness levels had dropped considerably. Even though we had one of the biggest squads in the Premier League, we still could not stage a good team many times, quite often last season, because we had more injuries than any other team in the Premier League. But now that you see Pochettino using his Gacon test to put all of his players through the ringer, you can see the difference in the fitness, the energy, the ability to play throughout 90 minutes with a consistent pace. And that is a very important thing for a top club like Chelsea. Another improvement is in the pressing and the pressure that the team is putting. So, as any modern football fan would understand, pressing opponents is a very important part. So pressuring them and pressing them right from the forward line to the midfield to the defense is a very important part of modern football. Otherwise, you just have to sit back in your own half and keep defending pressure and maybe give away a goal, which is not the right approach unless you are very good at that and then excellent on the counter. So Mauricio Pochettino has managed to change that aspect of the team, and I'm very happy about that. Then I'm going to now mention, before I get into the players and how they have improved, another part of Chelsea's game that has gotten a lot better is the fact that while they're pressing, they're not just pressing players, but they're also closing channels. So they're closing the gaps between two defenders where a good team or a good player on the opposing team can find that gap despite the press and put a ball through that gap into his forward line or his midfield. Chelsea are now not just pressing excellently, they're also closing in the gaps between the defense and using that technique to intercept passes and break up play and then counter very, very quickly. So that is a very good addition into the team's tactics. Now I'm going to get into the players that I have noticed during the preseason or the summer series. Number 1, Ben Chilwell. Now we know that Ben Chilwell is an excellent an excellent left back and a left wing back. But under Pochettino, that has been multiplied, because now Ben Chilwell is not just running up and crossing from the wing once in a while. Now he has been given the permission to be the most forward placed player on the team, which is counterintuitive considering he's a defender and he's a left wing back and a left back. But what this does is this allows Pochettino to add more players to the attack and give the team a numerical advantage in every attack. So you don't just have to worry about Malo Mudryk on the left wing and him running on the wing and putting balls in. Now you have to worry about Ben Chilwell doing that as well. And because Chilwell gives that extra option on the wing, Malo Mudryk can now do what he likes to do best, which is cutting inwards and taking shots from distance, or trying to dribble into the box and taking a shot or creating a pass. And this is excellent. This is very, very good, because not only is this allowing Chilwell to use his ability to score goals, to create assists through crosses and run channels very well, it has also released Malo Mudryk, who now has the option of either going onto the wing or cutting inwards, and it gives him a lot more versatility and it keeps the defenders guessing on the other team. Another part of this tactic that is very, very important is when out of the 4, so the back line of 4, when Ben Chilwell goes up and there are 3 defenders left. Now what Pochettino is doing is he's converting the back 4 into a back 3, and the 2 midfielders in front of them are supplementing the lack of that defender. What this allows the team to do is let the left centre back, who was next to Chilwell, put a ball out to Chilwell, who is running on the wing and is most likely going to be an open option, because the defenders on the other team are already occupied with the midfield and the forward line of Chelsea. So that numerical advantage gives Chelsea the option to put a ball forward and cross a lot of distance very, very quickly. Now, what is happening because of this tactic is not just do you see a change in the defense and how the defense is able to convert into a back 3, put passes to Chilwell. You also see that the winger up top, so when Chilwell is running on the wing, he's occupying that space on the wing. The winger, the forward player who's already there, can come inward. Like I said, Mudryk can come inward and make a box in the middle of the pitch in the attack, which gives more options in the center as well. So you have a numerical advantage on the wing when Chilwell is running there. If a defender goes to Chilwell, he can put the ball in, and now we have more players in the center to attack the goal, which is excellent. Also, that also allows Mudryk to become another option for Chilwell to not just cross the ball into the box, but also come backwards, pass the ball backwards to Mudryk and allow him to run towards the goal or towards the D and try and score. This is brilliant, and this also allows the team to do a lot better in build-up, because now they have more forwards concentrated in the middle of the pitch. And another aspect that I am very, very happy about is how Kepa is developing under Mauricio Pochettino. So Kepa Arrizabalaga is a very good keeper, but one of the best things about him that sometimes is not noticed as much is the fact that he is a ball playing goalkeeper. So he can also act as an extra player in the outfield, and you can start attacks from Kepa Arrizabalaga as another ball playing player in the field. And Mauricio Pochettino is using that to the fullest. Even though that has been a part of his formation, his 4-2-3-1 formation, he has never had a keeper before at Paris or in the Spurs setup or anywhere else that he has played or managed. He's not had a goalkeeper who has been a ball-playing goalkeeper. Now that he has that, he can use that to his advantage and apply that to his formation, which requires that, and develop Kepa very, very well. So I'm very happy about that, because that is a huge part of the game now. Another aspect is that players are now expected to come in closer. So very often, especially last season under Potter, we saw that the players were so far apart that they could not interplay very, very well, because they had to look for their teammates very, very far away, and they had to get past a lot of defenders in making that pass, or try and put the ball through a lot of defenders, and that becomes very, very difficult. So what Mauricio Pochettino has done is, by sending Chilwell on the right wing, or somebody like Malo Gusto or Reece James in a forward position, he has given those options on the wing, but he has also brought the forwards closer towards the center, where they can interplay better, because they are closer to each other and they can put short passes to each other, play between each other, between the defenders' lines, and try and score. So yeah, that is a welcome change in the tactics of the team. A good example of that was the goal that Malo Mudryk scored during the summer series, where he got the ball on the wing, he ran at the goal, put a ball into Nicholas Jackson, got it back from him, put it back to him, and then Jackson set up a shot for him, which he scored from the D-top, and he smashed the ball into the left bottom corner. It was an excellent, beautiful goal, and it was the perfect example of not just that tactic of bringing players closer together, playing out, but it was also a very, very good example of what Malo Mudryk is capable of, and how much he has developed under Pochettino. And just to belabor the point, Malo Mudryk is playing excellently. He's doing all of those things that we expect off of him. So I'm very happy about his development as well. Now, another player I'm going to mention is Malo Gusto, who is Reece James's substitute replacement. And mostly, if you bring a player to supplement for another starting 11 player, he is not as good as that player. But in the case of Reece James and Malo Gusto, I am quite sure that Malo Gusto is capable of everything that Reece James does. In fact, in the summer series, he's been playing very, very well. So he tracks the ball very well, as he did in the Brighton game against Mitoma, and he tracks players very well. He can go forward, but he can still come back tracking the winger, the attacking winger of the opposite team. And Mitoma is a very good winger. He's an excellent dribbler. He has a PhD in dribbling. If you watch football memes, you know all about that. And Malo Gusto made him look substandard in the Brighton game. He could not get past him at all. There was no dropping of shoulder or crossover or dribble that he could use to get past Malo Gusto, because he was very, very responsible defensively, and he is so agile that he is never out of position no matter what the opponent is doing. So I'm very, very happy about this new player that we have. Another player that I absolutely love is Nicholas Jackson, and he started reminding me of Didier Drogba, because not only can Jackson hold the ball up when the ball is launched at him from the defense, he can hold it up and let people, the wingers, the attackers, the midfield make runs so that he can pass it along the channel and release them onto the goal. Not only can he do that, he can also dribble. He is also very, very fast, so he can get past the opponent's defense when somebody puts a ball in a channel for him to run at. And he has very good finishing, which is something I wasn't expecting, because he is very young and he's coming from Sevilla. So I thought he would have to work on his finishing and get a little more accurate, a little more consistent, be a little calmer, but he has all of those features already. So this just goes to show that you don't, as a good club, as a big club, you don't need to go out and spend 110 million on a jackass like Romelu Lukaku. You can get an excellent young player like Nico Jackson by paying 30-35 million, and then let him play without the weight of the price tag on him, and let him express himself. And I'm very, very impressed, because Jackson has almost everything that you can ask for in his game as a number 9. Now, having said that, there are a few issues that Chelsea need to address, and they're minor niggles. So number one, like I said, when Chilwell is running on the wing, he is taking up the space that the left winger does, which is Malo Mudryk. And now what they have to do is build up that coordination. So if Chilwell is going onto the wing, then Mudryk has to come inwards so that they're not occupying the same space and wasting each other. If Mudryk is going onto the wing, then Chilwell has to make the run inwards, which is something he hasn't been doing. So they have to make sure that they communicate and coordinate well in that regard. Another thing that Chelsea need to address very quickly is, since we have two midfielders in the 4-2-3-1, so 4 defenders, 2 midfielders, one of those midfielders is supposed to be the defensive pivot, and he is supposed to allow the other midfielder, which is Enzo Fernandez, the time, space and ability to go forward and link up play between the defense and the attack and build plays, put balls up. Moises Caicedo was supposed to be that player, but Brighton being Brighton, them being absolute idiots, they believe that Moises Caicedo is worth 100 million like Declan Rice, even though Moises Caicedo has no international experience to speak of, unlike Declan Rice, and has very little Premier League experience, unlike Declan Rice. They still think that if Declan Rice is going for 100 million, Caicedo should as well, which is flat out stupid. In any case, if Chelsea are going to get Caicedo, they need to get cracking now before the window closes. If they're not getting Caicedo, then they need to get a replacement, because somebody needs to play in that position and we do not have that profile currently on the squad. Yes, Gallagher can do a job, but that is not Gallagher's profile. I would much rather see Gallagher being the replacement for Christopher Nkunku, because he has the ability to score goals, rather than seeing him being wasted in a position that he will manage to play well in, but is not his natural game. Another issue that I see is defensive cohesiveness, and this has a lot to do with the fact that the 4 defenders that we are going to play in our starting 11 haven't really played together. And in the summer series, in the preseason, a lot of substitutions were happening. So, like for example, in the last game of the summer series against Fulham, at one point in the second half when it began, Pochettino took out the whole 11 and put another 11 in. So yeah, that is the level of substitutions that were going on, and I can understand that in the preseason. But at some point, the defense, the 4 players or the 6 players who will make up the substitutes and the 4 main defenders have to play together enough to be able to coordinate well, because they're all excellent players. The players like Levi Colwill, who's supposed to be the best defender, young defender in England right now, and there are players like Thiago Silva, who's the best defender in the world in my opinion. There are players like Reece James and Chillwell and Malo Gusto, and these guys need to play well together. So they need to play together and coordinate well, be cohesive, and that has to be dealt with before that coordination just absolutely goes for a 6. Then I want to talk about Reece James, who played well, but he seems a little positionally lost. He is not bombing forward the way Chilwell is, and I think that is a waste of his talents, because he is just as good, if not better, at going forward and scoring goals. He has a more powerful shot. He crosses very, very well. He is very strong. He dribbles well. You can't take the ball off of him. And he runs back and fulfills his defensive responsibilities as well. So I think Reece James is not being used to his fullest. He should go forward a little more. If Pochettino has not given him that remit, then he should, so that he can go forward and become an addition to the attack. Maybe it is because he has just come back from injury and he has not rehabilitated himself. He has not rehabilitated himself completely. But at some point in the future, I would like to see him playing the way he was last to last season, or in the Champions League season. The last thing that I want to point out is the fact that we have an excellent right winger in Noni Madueke, who hasn't played in the summer series because he wasn't prepared. But you can't just go into the Premier League season with one right winger when you're going to be playing the Premier League games and playing for the FA Cup. You need at least one other player who can fill in that gap if Noni Madueke is tired and needs a rest, or has a slight muscle injury, or has an injury in general. So yes, I know we have been linked with Ryan Cherki, but Chelsea apparently are not happy with his attitude. I personally feel that if the player has an attitude and it is controlled and put into the right direction, then it goes towards the opponents, and I personally enjoy that kind of shithousery. Having said that, if the coach thinks that he cannot maintain his squad well with that kind of an attitude amongst the players, then I understand why Ryan Cherki would not be a good option. But Mohamed Kudus is an excellent option, and we have been linked with him. He is excellent not just because he is a brilliant winger who can dribble, who can score, who is very, very strong and runs like a horse. He is also very versatile. So you can put him on the right wing, which is his preferred position, and he can play from there and use his excellent left foot to score goals or build assists or whatever that you want from him in that position. But you can also use him as a center attacking midfielder, so as a replacement for Christopher Nkunku in case he is injured. And considering the fact that Nkunku is injured currently, I think somebody like Mohamed Kudus is a very good option because he can play two different positions. So he does the work of two replacement players, and to be very, very frank, he is good enough to play in the starting 11, so he isn't really a replacement in most teams. But yes, in a club like Chelsea, where you have Madueke, where you have Nkunku in the cam position, he will be playing a supplementary role. So yeah, that is what I've seen from Chelsea as of now, and I'm very, very impressed with the improvements that they've made. I am quite sure that we will be competing for the top 4 or at least the top 6. So we will be back in Europe next season. But there are a few things that we need to deal with. We definitely need a defensive midfielder, because without that player profile, I don't think the team is going to function very well through a long season. Anyway, that was my piece. I hope you liked the analysis. Please comment and let me know what you think about Chelsea and the team as it is as of now. Like, share, subscribe, and see you next time.